Hotelier on the Grill.
Good morning, this is Hotelier on the Grill and I'm Stuart J. Raj and sitting here with Tina Liu, who is the General Manager of the Le Méridien Koh Samui in Thailand. Welcome, Tina.
Thank you, Stuart.
And so just before we get into the questions, could you give us a very brief introduction of who you are? Not too much, we'll get into that in the questions.
Sure. It's a little bit of a complicated answer. My name is Tina Liu, so from that you can probably tell that I'm Chinese. I was actually born here in Bangkok, and I grew up in the U.S. in New York. So I've been working back and forth between the two continents and spending a lot of my time here in Thailand, and the last 10 plus years with Starwood, and now on a small island in Samui.
In the beautiful Koh Samui. So question number one, we'll jump straight into them, 12 standard questions. Question one, where did you first cut your teeth in the hotel industry?
I actually started my career right here in Thailand, doing internships at the Mandarin Oriental. And you say cutting your teeth, I'd have to say baby teeth, because I actually started when I was 16 doing internships. Most people start in their university years, but I already started in my high school years to make sure that I was on the right track. And obviously it was a successful internship, because here I am today still working in the industry.
So you knew from then that this was it?
Yes.
So question number two then, from then, what was your big break, your first big break?
My first big break, I would have to say, was my first full-time job. And that was also here in Thailand, working next door at the Shangri-La. And the reason I say it's a big break is because I was very fortunate in that after just finishing university, I came out, and with a couple of, years with internship and part-time positions under my belt, the Shangri-La gave me an opportunity to start out already as an assistant manager. So, when you come out of school and you already get, some kind of responsibility to look after other people, that's, something that you don't take for granted. So I did consider that kind of like very lucky and a big break for me.
So question number three then, you've been in this business for a long time, since you were 16 then. Why were you able to make it to where you are today, where perhaps some others have not been able to make it?
I think it's a combination of being at the right place at the right time and knowing the right people. There are a lot of good people out there who work hard and deserve to get positions, but I think you also need a combination of the other three things to help you out. And I think for me, I was very lucky to have all of those things in my career. The right people to help open doors for me, being at the right place. I could have been in the U.S. and I chose to be here in Asia because all the development is here. So many new hotels have opened up, which means they require staffing,
Right.
and also, the right time for both the hotel and yourself, so that there's, a match.
So in all of this time, we can see now hotels going up, going down. Could you tell us about your darkest moment for question number four?
Yeah. Two answers for this, and I'll go back to North America for this answer, because one of them really was literally a dark moment, and that was the blackout in New York City when I was working there. So that was a very interesting time when, it's the city of lights, and all of a sudden to completely go into darkness and not have power was basically a moment of crisis. And the other time was also New York, which is 2 years before that, which is 9/11. When the World Trade Towers fell. So these were two basically periods of crises in the city, for the people, not only the guests and the tourists of the city, but the associates alike. So,
Right.
Everyone's just affected by the situation.
So question number five then, could you expand on one or both of those? How did you get through that?
Well, first of all, I think you need to have very solid procedures in place to deal with crisis management. But I think what is very important is that everyone pulled together and worked as a team. For example, during the blackout, or even both 911, associates were limited in terms of being able to get to work or even get home, or guests were not able to get out of the city. They were not able to get on a flight because they stalled all the flights. So to really work together, and at that time, I think you have to be flexible and not stick to too many unimportant rules at that stage, right? And really have your humanity and empathy kick in to work together and get through the situation.
And hearing you from when we've met you and during the interview, you can see you've got a lot of energy. For question number 6, what drives you?
I think what drives me is knowing that I can make a difference, or that I do make a difference, whether it's with people or even with with anyone, I guess, even in guest satisfaction, to know that I'm making a difference by helping out a guest, or making a difference in the business by implementing some kind of new change or concept or idea, or even work process that improves how we do business, or seeing my staff developing, growing, or even being happy in their workplace. If you feel that you're making a difference in where you work, then you're driven by that success.
And you mentioned earlier that of all the people that were around you and gave you the opportunities. For question number 7, do you have a mentor? And if so, who and why?
I have 2 mentors. One is a woman, one is a man. One is Asian and one is Western. So I have the best of both worlds. And also 2 very different
Could you mention their names?
Perspectives. Yes, I can. Actually, they both work at the same property now, although they haven't always, and they're an excellent team. One is the general manager of the Sheraton Grand Sukhumvit. His name is Richard Chapman. I think he has a very good reputation in the market. And in the among associates in the industry, as being a fantastic mentor, and he's really developed a lot of people. Even at his property, the Sheraton Grand Sukhumvit alone, it's almost a factory for industry leaders. Once you leave here, you're definitely going somewhere. The other person is the director of human resources at the Sheraton Grand Sukhumvit, and her name is Kun Sirilak, and she's a very inspirational lady. I think not so much like what you might think of a typical Thai lady. She's very strong, very open-minded, and she started out in operations, and she made a career jump into human resources. And I think this is something that's very brave. Not a lot of people are willing to make this kind of cross-functional change. So I've learned a great deal from both of them.
No, I agree. I think Richard is amazing. One of the most inspirational leaders I've seen in hotels. So question number 8, tell us of an experience in your career that's really made you proud.
I have to say this goes a little bit back to a period of crisis, but back here in Thailand this time. This was, I guess, a couple of years ago when we had 2 situations that weren't very good for the country. The first being the political crisis, I think it was 2009. And then just when it was getting a little bit better, we got hit with the floods.
Right.
So it was almost 2 years of very bad business for the industry. And at that time, I was working in a very large hotel with a lot of staff. And it was a really tough time for the associates. And we had to come up with many, many creative ideas on how we can support them throughout this prolonged crisis period. We took a lot of temporary initiatives, things that obviously we're not able to sustain on long term, to help them out, and it worked out well.
So you were able to pull through it.
Yes. But being able to come up as a team with all these creative ideas on how we can, assist the staff, I think was very interesting. It was a good process, and some of the things that we came up with, I can say we could be proud of those decisions and the impact it had.
Right. You mentioned all of these hotels that are popping up and have popped up in Thailand here. Question 9. What's the best advice that you could give somebody who's looking to be a successful GM?
I think you need to be open-minded and agile. This is a word that Starwood is using a lot. So basically, I mean, to be agile means you have to be nimble and quick to change. You have to be ready for what's coming and move with it. And before you do that, obviously, you have to be open-minded, because if you're not open-minded, then you're probably not willing to be quick to change. While it's important to remember the basics, change is happening undeniably so quickly nowadays, whether because of the political situation or technology or competition. Whatever it is, you have to always be on your toes to move with new information and new trends. Whatever you hold to be true now, or whatever you think is the best way now, might not be that way next month.
Right. So then on the flip side, question number 10. What's one thing that hotel GMs shouldn't get wrong?
Then this, I think, brings me back a little bit to the basics, and that's taking care of your people, your team, because if you have a good performing team, that kind of takes care of the rest of the business. And by taking care of the team, I mean, this is, I think, can be expanded in many ways. For example, making sure they have proper training to do their job, giving them time to actually, learn from them, listen to them, what their needs are, giving them the proper tools to do their job, making sure they're recognized, making sure they're motivated. So, I mean, all of these different ways of taking care of your team. So I hope that doesn't translate to be only monetary.
Right. So it's the people side of it too.
Right.
And then question number 11. If you weren't in the hotel industry, what's your ideal alternate career?
I would be some kind of very talented artist or musician, something where my creative skill would be my uniqueness. So, for example, if I could play an instrument really well, or something I've always wanted to do ever since I guess I was young is, being able to paint and draw.
Right.
So I've tried, I've taken classes.
So you don't paint or play an instrument now?
No. But I've tried. The best that I can do right now is I have a huge collection of colorful pens. And so I'm crazy about, like stationery and all that stuff, but I've tried drawing, I've taken classes, I used to do my own painting, from my childhood into my adult years, but that talent is not there.
Well, they were the 11 main questions focusing on the hotel side of things. Question 12 is a little bit from left field, but it still shows us a bit about who you are. Could you tell us about one app that you're hooked on, you're using, that's been useful to you that you could mention to our listeners?
I hope you're not going to expect that I'm going to introduce some unique app to you.
No, just anything.
Because I'm quite boring. I use all the traditional apps. I think the kind of ones that will give you your basic information. But what I basically use all the time is, Apple's newsstand. I download, all their magazines, because here in Thailand, I mean, although it might have changed now, the issues always come late, or they're really expensive, and you don't need all that paper and stuff that stack up every week or every month anymore at home. I have like, 6 of my favorite magazines that I can flip through just from my iPad. And now it's interactive. You can actually go and listen to songs that they're talking about and purchase it right then and there. So, instead of having to go to the store, purchase, carry it around, you just have it all right on your app.
So
But
Apple's
when it comes to
newsstand.
books, must be paper.
Yes, I concur. Okay, well, thank you very much, Tina Liu. You've shared some fascinating experiences with us here, and I'm sure our listeners will enjoy it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Stuart. Thank you for inviting me for this interview.
Okay, bye-bye.
Hotelier on the Grill.